Guys, what's going on? I do a quick intro here because these videos go up on YouTube, and then if they go well, I carry them over to the Strong Life podcast. So what I want to talk to you guys about is who you surround yourself with and why that is clutch. I notice trends at my gym and places I've trained others at, places I've trained at myself. So I'm going to get into that. I'm going to give it a couple seconds for a couple people to sign in here. Coach Chris Ayers first to pop in here. And, if you're not first, you're last. Second place is first loser. So anybody else who signs in is automatically first loser. Coach Chris Ayers first. Craig De La Cruz. Second guy on. Amir Lambden. What's happening? Joe Duhigg was just thinking about you. So far, all wrestlers. Joe, I'll be hopefully trading you more books or coming down to the gym to pick up, or coming down to the restaurant to pick up some empty kegs to set up a little bit of shop at another location yet to be announced. Coach Ted Rasmussen in the house. And Joe, I've been thinking about you. I'm waiting for you to get back here and train with your son. Time is ticking. Jesse Fuller says, loving the content. Thank you. My pleasure. It is my honor. I get really fired up when I get to hook you guys up and do Q&A with you guys. So I'm going to be, I want to kind of get into a topic here. That might just take me about 5 minutes. And then I'll take Q&A as they come. And I'll take Q&A afterwards as well. So right now it's about 9:10 p.m. on the East Coast. Andrea Kern signed in. Thanks for stopping by. Let's give some thumbs up here to some of you guys. Really pumped up when people are here. Coach D stopping by from California, the Lions Cage. Guy does some amazing things. So here's what I want to talk to you guys about. Today's Monday, and today at the gym we had a ton of kids canceling, a lot of kids no showing, and it's the holidays, so there's a lot of things going on. But oftentimes the biggest thing going on is it's just not convenient. And I notice a trend of certain towns or certain areas where the kids are very tough, and certain trends where there's towns where the kids are just, they're kind of there, they're kind of not. They tend to cancel a lot. And it's not just with schools, it's not just with the towns that you live in, but it's with the people you hang out with. And I go back to the earliest days of me always traveling and trekking around New Jersey, trying to find what we would call a hardcore gym. And hardcore in the 90s, hardcore in the 80s, very different than what people consider hardcore today. Today, hardcore is when you talk a lot about it, but you're really up at 3 a.m. Posting on Twitter and Instagram and not really doing much about it. So whenever I have a certain town or area that the kids or the coaches reach out and they sign up and they want to organize workouts, they drop the ball a lot. They don't follow through. And what happens is, on my end, that bothers me. But on their end, that's normal. It's normal to not show up. It's normal to just be there when it's convenient for you. It's normal that when the going gets tough and you bail out, you're just like, it's not really a big deal. Like, quitting is the common thing. Excellence is just, what the hell is that? They don't even know. They're all about good enough. And many of you know my quote when I say good enough is the death of greatness. Then I have kids that come from other towns, other schools, and they're the tough kids. And it's like all they understand is hard work. They're always going full throttle. If the speed limit is 70 miles an hour, they're always going 80 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour. And you see these trends in all things. It's not just sports. It could be businesses. It could be academics. It could be you name it. Like, that's a basketball town. That's not a football town. Or that's a fishing town. That's a surfing town. And people fear carving and paving and blazing their own path. And when you are, under the norms and just following what other normal people do, you achieve the normal results. So what I always like to do is, when I'm thinking about planning out, mapping out, accomplishing a certain task, I say, what is the normal thing? What is the common thing? Step one is avoid normal. Get out of plain vanilla, get out of the middle ground. How does that other person train? What do other 40 or 40-something-year-old men look like? How do they train? How do other strength coaches run their business? How do other coaches learn? Like, what is the common thing? I avoid the common, what would equate to average. And then I find out what the best do, what the greatest of the great do. And I used to have a conversation with my buddy Alan Cosgrove, and we talk about the top 10%. Adrian Harvey saying perfect as she goes to tear up her workout listening to this. So Alan Cosgrove would always say top 10%. And one day we had a conversation, and we said something to the effect of, we were like, I don't even think it's a top 10 anymore. It's not even a top 5. It's more like a top 2 or a top 3%. For example, I posted a blog where I ranted a couple months ago, and I spoke about these common things that you would just think are uncommon to do. Where a coach reached out to me, local, wanted to set up a group training program, and the group was supposed to meet on a Monday. They had probably like 2 weeks to organize, maybe a little bit more, maybe give or take 2 days. And by Sunday, he says, I've got a bunch of maybes and I've got 2 definites. I go, well, you got the wrong gym, because I want nothing to do with a bunch of maybes. Maybe I want to win. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm going to show up and work hard. Maybe I won't. Maybe we're going to win. Most likely we're not going to win. And I've gotten very far away from being apologetic for expecting greatness. I'm so sorry that you got to work so hard. Like, I think it's all a gift. But in that town, that is the norm, for everybody to be a maybe, to be to be happy with good enough. What you want to do is seek out the people and the places where everybody believes in excellence. And I often talk about having virtual friends, which means you may not know where to go. You may not have friends that are kind of in your vicinity. So what you have to do is now create a virtual network. You have to become part of groups that might not be in your immediate driving distance, but maybe you're meeting up with them every couple of months. Maybe you're traveling every weekend and finding a place to train, finding people to learn from, where you are getting pushed and you become the person who seeks out greatness rather than somebody who sits back and awaits it, because nobody achieves success through waiting. So today was very interesting. All the cancellations came from the common places. All the cancellations at the gym today were the kids from the town where it's common to be good enough, where it's common, where it's like, I'm kind of busy. Bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's a very weak way of living that I can't relate to, nor do I apologize for even trying or wanting to relate to it. And then, of course, those who showed up came from the towns where the kids are known for being tough. So if you start hanging out with the normal thing is good enough and skipping and quitting and half-assing it, that will become your new normal. And that is like a disease. You have to cut that out. You have to cut that out of your environment immediately. There's just no nice way about putting that. There's nothing good about being in that place. So I get fired up about it, but that is the human food chain. We have predators and we have prey. We have those that are at the top of the food chain, hunting, looking to kick ass and take names. Everything they do, they want to be the best. They want to be the greatest. They want to be highly successful. They're not interested in just punching the clock, collecting a paycheck. I'm going to be just coming back to the same place over and over again. Always live for the relentless pursuit of excellence. So how can you get better? You have to be able to self-motivate yourself, self-discipline, versus relying on somebody to inspire you and motivate you and coach you, because ultimately it is you that has to live with yourself. You've got to own all those actions or your lack of actions. And I will never understand those who are satisfied with just happy to be there, happy to be part of the team, happy to just make it. You can't be that, and I don't believe anybody is put on this earth to be good enough, but I feel that somehow, some way, there's this strange disease out there where people are okay with being good enough. So now that I got that off my chest, and hopefully you picked something up from that, and you're saying to yourself, you know what? I'm not going to hang out with Johnny or Jimmy anymore. Those guys are lazy. In fact, I'm going to text message them and tell them that they're fired from being my training partners. And who are you guys going to train with? You might have to get used to doing stuff on your own. A lot of people nowadays with the video world, Ray Jazz, happy birthday, my man. I'm supposed to text message that to you. A lot of people are happy with the status quo. They're happy with wherever they're at. And they only do stuff when it's for show. I'm only going to lift heavy when the video is on for Instagram. I'm only going to train hard if it looks cool and it's going to do good on YouTube. Well, talk to me about how you're training when nobody's watching. That is ultimate savagery right there. So let's get some questions here. I did see a question up at the top that was saying, Jesse asked, who are you currently learning from in terms of marketing and sales? That's a great question. You know, with the business stuff, I'm always just trying to refine the basics about making a very clear message. I don't study that much. I look at all these books. The oldest books that I have here are a lot of the business and marketing books. But I came across an article recently that applies in both business and life. And it said something to the effect about why I will never try to change anybody's mind again. So, for example, I was at one of my locations a couple weeks ago, and a parent was talking about how her son played football, but she's like, I didn't really like it. He lifted weights so much that he got too big. And of course I said, wow, I'd love to hear about this problem. And she said, well, you know, now he lost 30 pounds. Well, I go, it sounds like, and I have no filter on my mouth anymore. It's like I just don't really care if I'm offending people because people need to hear the truth. I think the world of being apologetic and skirting around what the truth is and what they need to hear is just weak. So I said, well, it sounds like he didn't put on 30 pounds of muscle. He didn't get too big from lifting too much. He got too big if you could lose 30 pounds from eating too much. Nobody has gotten too strong, too explosive, too tough, too fast. Please let me know when that becomes a problem. So I learned that somebody like that will never become a member of the underground. They look at weightlifting like it's bad. Her son put on 30 pounds. Probably 20-something pounds of fat, and they're saying he's too big, he's too strong. I've been at the Division I level, and I didn't meet anybody that was too big, too strong. They were all able to improve in a certain way, strengthen their back in a certain area, strengthen their posterior chain. There's always ways to get better. So what I've learned is that I'm not trying to create a gym on community and all these, you know, fads and tricks and transformations. I am selling hard work, dedication, and discipline. I am the anti-business. I'm anti-fads, anti-gimmicks. I'm just all about results. So I'm cutting through elevator pitches and all this bullshit and just trying to bring in highly qualified people who are ready to work, who have supportive parents, which means I'm doing a very, it's like the ultimate way to put yourself out of business, because sometimes I ask myself, man, life would be so easy if I sucked, if I didn't give a shit, if I was a clock puncher, because there's a lot of gyms out there that are pumping when it's just very casual. I'm not gonna scream at you if you miss a rep. I'm not gonna get on your case if your head is down and your shoulders collapse on all your push-ups. I'm not gonna bother you if you half squat. I'm not gonna bother you if you put the weights down with a round back. But you know what? I can't go to bed that way and just open up my gym and stand against the wall and let everybody do the wrong thing. To me, the only standard is excellence. Be stronger than yesterday. Be better than yesterday. Be more dedicated than yesterday. And if you're not better than yesterday, then shame on you. You've wasted the gift of life, of strength, of success, of getting better. And our life, it's like tomorrow is not promised to us. So I don't know why I have this kind of this fear of maybe because this fear of like, I don't know, how much longer we're going to live for. I think it's because of my age. I see how quick my kids grow up. I look at kids I've trained, and I'm now training kids of my classmates from high school, or my coaches who coached me. Now I'm training their kids. And it's like, it seems like yesterday they were coaching me. So I'm not doing too much business stuff. And I think we're also in a world now where there's certainly a lot of like specific business things you need to have set up properly and ways to maximize your business. But I don't want to be the business that's the best because I've got a better website or a better looking website and all this shit. That's not my forte, guys. I don't have the time, I don't have the energy or the resources to make that shit happen. So I do this. I speak the truth and do it in a very raw way. So that's my, 10-minute answer to who am I studying in business. Let's get a couple more questions in here. Time-wise, it's 9:22. Could probably take 2 or 3 more questions. What do we got, guys? Anybody else? If we have no questions, I will cut this one out. Ted, my man, says, I sometimes find myself feeling like I want the results more than the athlete. I know you have felt that way as well. How do you deal with it? I was watching a documentary yesterday called Terry, and it was actually released a year ago on Flow Wrestling, and they were interviewing Dan Gable, and Dan Gable was arguably one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, probably one of the most well-known wrestlers, and he said, what's harder, being an athlete or being a coach? Because being a coach is way harder, because you're trying to find out what makes this guy tick. Why doesn't he want it as bad as he could have it? Why do I want it more than him? So it's this very tough internal struggle where you're trying to figure out how to communicate with that person. And Ted, this comes to kind of the topic of what I said is, if that athlete has grown up in an environment where it's normal to be average, where his teammates, his classmates, his parents are not like, you are going to work and be awesome, then it's very hard to change people. Does that mean I've never changed athletes? Some of my best athletes are the kids that I was an inch away from telling their parents, let's try this again next year. Let's wait 1 year until he matures emotionally and is ready for the intensity of the program. And those kids sometimes become my best kids. So it's very tough. How do I deal with it? The only thing I understand, Ted, and what might help you is if you do your best as a coach and you give it all you got, then it's like, okay, I could live with that. But you can't live with yourself if you don't give it, if you don't put all your energy in. As long as you know you gave it everything you got, nobody could take that away from you. And to me, I feel like that's the beauty in coaching, is that you control that stuff. So today, with all the cancellations, I had one group with 1 kid, one group with 2 kids, and I gave those kids everything I had. And you want to know what? Some of those kids didn't give it everything they had. And it was very energy. It like pulled my energy out. But I gave them everything I had. And I said, you got to be able to bring the discipline and motivation, whether it's 1 or 9 guys here. That's why you're here, to be different. And if you're not going to go all out when you're here, and look, not all times can they go all out, but we've got to teach them to be savages because they are probably not learning it elsewhere. So Ted, give it all your heart, and that's all you could control. Jesse asked, what's my favorite exercise lift currently and why? That's a good question. So I'm not the healthiest guy because of my shoulder. So my favorite used to be some sort of like a clean and press. I love the squat. I love the deadlift. I miss doing power cleans. I was doing a lot of power cleans. Even before shoulder surgery, believe it or not, post shoulder surgery doesn't make it feel any better. So favorite lift right now, squatting, deadlifting. And before that, I'd say my favorite lift was power cleans. And before that, favorite lift was some sort of ground to overhead, just like ripping weight off the ground, getting it to the shoulder, jerking it overhead, push press. taking a keg, ripping it, clean and press, like just hulking shit. And man, my one buddy told me, I interviewed Jim Steele for the Strong Life podcast, episode 99 and 100, and he said something to the effect of he had his good buddy that's was a lifter, power lifter, bodybuilder, trained for many decades, and he told him, he goes, Jim, you got about 20 years, you got about 2 decades of really being able to push yourself before those injuries start to creep up. That's if you're a real serious, very hard charging lifter. So I've definitely hit that stride of those little injuries that creep up that create kind of like these big obstacles. But you know what? I say this to my kids as well. I go, I don't have an amputated leg. My body's not burned. I'm not missing an arm like some of our veterans have. I have nothing to complain about. Nothing. So I put that bar on my back and I squat deep and I squat hard. And I put that bar in my hand and I deadlift. Yesterday I did a garage gym workout. It was great. Worked up to 315 on the deadlift. I did a 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 225 then, 2 sets of 10. Then I did all kinds of barbell rowing, kettlebell rowing, one-arm shrugs, pull-ups, just did a circuit. And I find a way versus finding excuses. So hope that inspires you and fires you up, my man. Okay, can we get one more question in here, guys? I'd love to see what other questions we have. See if I missed any questions here on the Facebook feed. I think it's all good so far. Who's got a final question, training or otherwise? Drop that comment below and I'll answer it. Daryl Dansby just joined in. Good to see you, Daryl. I know a lot of people are probably recuperating from holiday weekend and people coming over or traveling and overeating themselves. I noticed a lot of our kids today were just poor energy and very likely eating a lot of crap food. No good. A little bit of crap food, not a problem. Okay. Awesome. Jesse says, love it. Thank you, Zach. Awesome. My pleasure. All right, guys, stand by for the next time. You just got to keep your eyes and ears peeled for when I go and do these Facebook Lives. Also, I do Instagram Lives. I did one last week. I'll try to sneak some of those in. I have another coaching position coming up. So that's going to be a little bit of my time, and I'm probably going to be doing less of the internet stuff. And you want to know what? Less internet is a good thing. The world is changing rapidly, and a lot of people just connect all through internet stuff. So, man, doing a lot of that internet stuff is it's weird. It's the wave of the future, you know, AI and virtual reality and all that stuff. Maddie Vanshock, what's happening? Brian D says thank you. Thank you. My pleasure, guys. And that's it, guys. Talk to you soon. Enjoy the rest of this holiday week. Wishing everybody an awesome new year. Train hard. And as always, like, you know, I tell people, do not set New Year's resolutions or goals. You want to do something? Start right now. Start right now. I already see everybody, like, peddling all the crazy ebooks and the special this and the get back to this. Get back to what? Special what? It's always going to come down to doing the simple things savagely well. Jim Kiertzy said that on one of our Strong Life podcasts. Chris Grant in the house. What's happening? That's it. The basics will always win. When in doubt, push-ups, pull-ups, sprints, burpees, farmer walks, squat, deadlift, power clean. But then it's the finer details of those exercises, and it's also the mindset. This is what I'm going to close out with, guys. Let me close out with this one. I like this one. I say this a lot to the kids. I go, if you've been here for 6 months and you still can't do a pull-up, or every time I turn around you're doing a half pull-up, you're not obsessed with being great. Even under the shittiest program, your pull-ups should get better. Even without doing pull-ups at home, they should get better. But they will not get better until you're just fucking obsessed and your brain is thinking about it. For example, yesterday's workout, I was thinking about squatting and deadlifting for days. It was on my mind. So by the time I grabbed that bar, I was ready to kill it. I wasn't kind of thinking about it. And predator or prey, choose to be the predator, not the prey. That's it, guys. Live the code 365. Success takes no vacations. You got to be strong. The strong life is the best life. Peace out, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Much respect.